Well, it's a good question, and people ask me all the time, why did we start Business Barracks, and what really is the purpose behind it? And it stemmed from being asked multiple times to go to different business schools and university graduations, and they'd put on these little Dragon's Den type judging, and it was basically a fun thing to help these business graduate students feel good about what they've learned. And every time I went to one of them, I realized these students just graduated, but they have no clue what they're about to do in the real world. They were taught to build a fake business plan on a fake idea, and as long as they checked the boxes, they scored 100 and they got their certificate. But I really felt bad for a lot of these students because they had this idea that they were educated on starting their own business, and they really weren't. And I would tell these different programs and schools and say, hey, listen, bring me in at the beginning and in the middle. Let me work with them throughout the process so that we could save a lot of time and get some good education. And I offered it just to come in as a volunteer, but they said that's not how their program worked. And unfortunately, many of these students never moved on to actually owning a business. So I wanted to find a different solution. And as a coach and as you guys, working with business people all the time, unless you're really doing something for real and not just a theory, you're not learning anything. So it was about, okay, so how do we teach people how to start a business, how to grow a business, how to generate, generational wealth, how to generate, profit on its own without having to be there all the time, and how to really scale and to do that with the right education. And one of the first things was, well, we got to stop having professors who's never owned a business and have no intention of ever owning a business teaching students about business. So we got to bring in experienced business leaders, experienced business experts, people who've built things, who've failed, who've learned from them, and then succeeded. And I thought that was the key component. So number one was, let's get a real business started in school, not just the theory. And let's get, the educators are people who've done it before, and
Mm.
people who are perhaps even in the industry of the business that the student wants to build. And I thought that was a key point that was missing in a lot of these programs. And so that's what we did. We started working with people, and then of course I always throw in a guarantee to let people know I know this works.
Yeah. Emile, it's interesting where you're coming from because for me, working with different entrepreneurship centers, what it was is that I was seeing about the same kind of things with you, right? I was seeing that people were getting these great informations, they were building great business plans, people were spending all this time, but there was this kind of gap between the theory and the information and then the action and the implementation,
Right.
right? And what's interesting is when you look at today's landscape, we've never been more supported to be successful around entrepreneurship. And so my question is always then why do we not have more successful businesses? And so the processes exist, the ideas exist, the YouTube videos, the courses, the books, the what you want exists, but it's that shift. And it's the shift from I take the theory and put it into practice. Right. So it's
Right.
like, and we were talking about engineers earlier on, and for me, it was, it's like that somebody who knows how to design a bridge, but then actually goes out there and builds it and goes, well, in real life, here's what's going on. I can take all my theory, but how do I adapt it and implement it? And for me, the business barracks was about taking this and actually helping people who wanted to be entrepreneurs be able to have a business. And I'll go from it's not just a great pitch, it's something I can live off. I'm building something that doesn't just sound great, but actually has value that people are willing to pay for. And that's a big shift for me. And I knew I couldn't do it alone. So
Mhm.
for me, what it was how do I find other reputable coaches, trainers, people who are out there in the industry that I can team up with? And then go, because I don't have all the answers. I will never have all the answers. I don't ever want to have the answers. And if I do at a certain point, I've stopped learning. And it's about bringing the power. And even we've been, we talk about we don't even have everything. We bring in experts who are also going to be able to do deeper dives with the people that we're working with. I think that's where for me it comes from. It's like you really want to be an entrepreneur? Okay. You put your money where your mouth is, start investing, and now it's not just about thinking about it, but you actually have to do it.
Hmm.
And do it in a way where you get guided. So
Well,
that's where it came from for me.
yeah, you make some really good points because a lot of people, and John, you can back me up on this. If you tell someone this is the process and it's all theory, and you're sitting in a classroom and you say to start a business, you got to do X, Y, and Z. So you write it down. Yeah, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Yay, I know how to do a business. But in the real world, when I say, okay, go do X, Y, and Z, people go to X and then say, this is really hard. I don't know if I can do it. I need a break. I'm stressed out. I'm burning out. I can't. And so learning how to do something and actually physically doing it are two different things. And that's where the psychology, the mental aspect, the self-sabotage, it's a lot harder to do something than to write down how to do something. And that's why, you get all these MBAs and these students who are passing with honors in school and they can't even start a business when they get into the real life because they never had that guidance and actually physically doing things. And those mental blockages that come up, the personal life, the issues that we have to deal with, everyone's different. Everyone's got a different story. And those things come into play, as we all know. Like business is simple. Buy it for $1, sell it for $4. You're a graduate MBA, you just got your certificate. But go do that now in real life. Buy what for $1? How do I market it? How do I sell it? This is hard. I'm stressed out, right? It's a whole different thing when you're doing it for real. So that's a big thing. Thanks, Anton.
Mm.
I think for me it was a little bit different because we you can teach people how to do or you explain to them you do X, Y, Z. The challenge is X, Y, and Z is not normally a linear process. So for me, I come at this from a slightly different point of view. I've been involved in coaching a fair number of people who've gone through business programs, and as this is how you do it, you've got a problem that you can identify as important enough for somebody to pay you to solve, and that's fantastic. What a lot of folks that we've been working with have had challenges with is how do I then turn this into reality? There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes around them being able to build a system in which they can actually win. That's one of the reasons I was excited about the Business Barracks actually getting started. It was we had folks who were coming from a business background, others who didn't come from a business background, had never actually been through business courses, but they also had a business that they wanted to be able to run. Is how am I going to be able to get the right customers, make payroll if they actually had people doing it? How do I scale? How do I grow? There were a lot of questions that were really, really different depending on who those folks were, where they came from, the people they had in their sphere, in their ecosystem to support them, or even challenge them if they thought they had, I've got the best idea possible. No, you actually don't. There are these other people that are doing it a little bit better. So it's just getting an opportunity, a different way of addressing the folks who are working on a business and making sure that we could actually ask them the right questions, make sure they were asking themselves the right questions and taking their steps seriously to move forward.
Yeah. And John, if I can build, I think, like you were saying, how do we help them move to that next step, right?
Mhm.
Transition, get over the hurdles Emile was talking about. I think those are kind of like, right? We can do business research, but if nobody responds, you can have the best survey in the world. But in the real world, getting people to actually spend 4 minutes to respond to your survey, if you're in class, that's one thing. But if you're
Mhm.
doing it outside, it's totally different, right? And for me, the why I like why we put together this school, this training, this approach was that trying to do it alone is freaking hard. And I've lived it, I'm living it, it's something that's out there. You have cycles as you're going through it. You get super busy, you don't live it, then you start slowing down, you're like, oh, this is lonely, right? And so welcome to being an entrepreneur, and you're going to live. And I think to your point, it's not linear. It's not going to
Mhm.
be through steps. But I think it's also how do I do something with others who are going through it at the same time? It's not just the theory of this. They're all struggling. Oh my God, how'd you landed 3 clients last week? How'd you do that? Tell me. right? And what were your conversations? Because last week we were talking and you weren't closing anybody like me, and now all of a sudden, so what shifted? And all of a sudden you have this. What I find beautiful about the process is that now you have these people who are doing the same things that are in the same timelines with the same kind of drive, right? So
Mhm.
it's like block of learning, put it into practice, and then I have to execute it, and we're checking in and right and fine tuning. So it's this shift of not just understanding what it is, not just practicing, but also having people who are going like, "Hey, you've been saying you're going to do sales. How many sales calls did you do this week? Two. Okay, you said last week you're going to do 10. So you can't complain about not getting revenues this week because you didn't meet anybody." Oh yeah, I guess, And like that to me is the power of people, of group, of community, of cohorts. That's where you're seeing, right? That change. I don't know if you guys think about that, what you guys thought about that too.
Oh wow.
I like that idea, but I think the thing that really sets I think what we're doing apart a little bit more is there are quite a few cohort-based programs out there right now with a lot of people who are doing different kinds of businesses. I think what was really cool about the approach that we're using is the fact that each of our cohorts is specifically designed to take a particular kind of entrepreneur at that particular time. So even if they're at different stages of their business, the challenges that they are facing are the same kinds of challenges. The skills that they need to build are the same kinds of skills. So it's not like we're not necessarily taking people who are building a huge SaaS company and putting them in the same cohort as an executive coach or a trainer. We're taking people who are doing the same kinds of things so that they can test and play and grow together. I think that was really, really important with this particular approach. There are quite a few programs, incubator and accelerator type programs that have so many different kinds of businesses. It's hard sometimes for folks to actually move at the same pace. And we've created an opportunity for the people that we work with to do that. And I think that makes a big difference.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like how you guys put that. When we first thought about, I know myself many years ago, it was like, we need a better school. We need an entrepreneurial university, I called it. And it's not. It's not a school. A school, you sit down, you get your assignment, you finish your assignment, you hand it in, and you either did well or you didn't, right? But this is a community, this is a support. We're actually building a business partnership together, instructors and people and individuals who are starting their own company, but we're all working together to help each other learn, grow, implement, and make a change in life. So it's so much more than just an educational system or a school. It's living it.
They do
Mm,
need to they do need to keep school in the back of their head though, because we're giving them homework and we're giving them things to do. So
Absolutely.
that's really important because the folks that don't take it seriously don't succeed. So what I think the thing I really liked is that when we push, it's like we're giving you 5 things, I expect you to do 6. If I ask you to look at 3 perspectives, I expect you to come back with 2 more. Challenge us as we challenge you. That makes a really, really big difference.
Absolutely.
yeah. And I think to your point, Emile, for me, when we first created the Business Barracks, it was about seeing the great work that colleges and universities and independent programs are doing, but there was a gap. I always felt that there was this gap between, everybody does a pitch contest. And I'm like, okay, can we sit down and go, can we do a pitch contest that actually puts like, here's how I'm going to pitch to close a sale. Here's my ideal client. Here's the pitch of why I'm solving their problem. Here's the value for their money, right? Instead of just pitching the idea or how we're going to solve, because the idea part, and there was this, a great business mentor that always said, innovation is fantastic. It's important. It allows us to keep up with the times. It allows us to continue to innovate and to bring and to better serve our clients. But innovation by itself is not enough. You have to have the capacity to build, right? And so it's not just about the idea that you have. Chances are that there's probably another 1,000 people who had the same idea, who had the guts to start it, who had the stamina to continue it, and then who had the team to be actually grow it. Right? And those are the three things that we're asking these questions. We're helping to set this up. And what I like is that we're not building the three of us. Our philosophy isn't about building to sell. It's not about building something that sounds sexy. It's about building something that can actually last. It's about building something, right, that you can actually live off, not just hope somebody will buy it. And I think that's a big shift too. That's why we talk about profitable business, not great sellability. We talk about actually being able to live off your business instead of going, if I don't have seed funding, I don't go anywhere. Right?
Right.
And so it's this shift of going, it's not about building to sell or building to be sexy, it's about building to last. And it's about giving people this opportunity to be able to do it. And I think this is where the business barracks for me, when we were talking and had come together, right, to build these programs, to build the approach, to bring everything together. That's what resonated because I found two other, co-founders that were thinking the same way, right? And I think
Right.
that says a lot. We're not just going to help you get a couple of sales. We're going to help you get sales over time.
Exactly. Well said, Antoine.
Huh. When you think about why we started this and, how come this was so important, anything else you guys have to share?
I think we just want to make a difference. It's we've seen so many people who get excited about starting a business and they start to move and then they take too long or they're too afraid. Like for me, it's I'm I'm naturally risk averse. I worry about almost everything. I've always tried to figure out it's like I need a constant job that has a normal salary coming in, and then I'll do this thing on the side. But it's really exciting to watch when people actually start. It's like, you know what, we can make this happen. I've got the right systems, I've got the right people. I'm not afraid to get out there and call and demonstrate and talk to people and get people to follow up. Like there's you can do any sales program. Like there are ways to sell, there are ways to close. But there's a certain mentality that you need to have as an entrepreneur to say, I'm going to put into work to get this done. I'm going to make the decisions that make sense for me to be successful. Learning in a group setting and watching other people do the same thing, that helps. There's a lot of doubt that goes into, I guess, a day-to-day part of an entrepreneurial journey. And sometimes having people who are going through it and go, you know what, you got this, you can do this. Let's move together. That's important. I think that's why I like this.
Yeah, that's awesome, John. And I know for me, it's always been, I came from a poor immigrant family, and we all have dreams. You're in a new country, you want to have everything that you see on TV and on internet, and everybody has dreams, and they're told work hard, get an education, get a job. You can't fulfill your dreams on a job. There's very few jobs in the world that pays you enough to live your best life. And I wanted to help people live their best lives. And the only way to do that was through entrepreneurship by building a scalable business that you're not limited to how much you could earn. And when I saw that there was really nothing encouraging people to understand true entrepreneurship, true financial literacy, they don't teach that in school, and then we went to the business programs. I've met people with MBAs that still couldn't, make a business card. It was wild how poor I saw the system out there. And as a coach and coaching many people, I saw the need, but I can only coach so many people on one-on-one. And that's why the need for Business Barracks was to bring this together, bring a multiple business experts together and help as many people as possible because everybody has a dream. A lot of people don't fulfill their dreams because they don't have the means. And this is the way. And we know how to build a business. We know how to make money. And the more we can teach people how to do it, the better the life is going to be for them, but also for their communities, their families, and everything in general. So I'm very passionate and driven to help people succeed. So that was my big why.
Hmm. What a great way to end, I think. That's on that. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for letting us know where this comes from and look forward to continuing our conversations.
Thank
You
you.
too.